This is LA Lloyd's Rock 30.
Well, I got to tell you one thing. Today on the Rock 30, we have a guest that has more number one songs than he has appearances on the Rock 30. And that's saying a lot considering he's been on here for over the past 20 years. 25 number ones, 23 appearances. Brent Smith from Shinedown. Welcome to the show, man.
Man, every single appearance, I am very, very blessed and honored to call you my friend. So it's an honor to be here every single time. Thank you, sir.
Indeed. So we had a chance to see you just a few days ago before the interview in Austin. And after that show, my daughter and I were walking back to the car. And, she kind of looked at me and she's like, you know what, Dad? She's like, Shinedown has literally been a part of my existence since I was born. Obviously, your existence, you've been with them for a long, long time. And she was just like, every song that they sang just literally took me to a point in my life growing up, no matter if it was commuting back and forth from San Antonio to Austin or wherever. And she's like, and they did songs
Right.
that I haven't heard in years. And so she was like, it's so amazing how these songs can be a time machine. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
I'll definitely pass it on to Brent for sure. But I mean, do you have
That means the world to me, by the way. The fact that she would acknowledge that allows me to know that, hopefully we're doing something right.
Yeah, indeed. And so, I mean,
Did you and your daughter enjoy the show?
we did. We actually we stood right down there in front of the soundboard, kind of where the smaller stage is at. And I was like, God, I feel like I got a front row seat the entire show. I mean,
Yeah,
I
man.
love the way we'll talk about the stage setup in just a bit, but I really loved it, man. The way that you can just keep going all over the place and you still feel you're right there at the front of the stage.
Well, the crazy thing was too in the Moody Center, like when we were in there, like the floor was a little sparse, but what we didn't realize when we looked up that like people were all the way to the rafters.
Right.
Like, and I was just like, oh wow, like it was an interesting setup. But yeah, that's the whole point of the stage is to try to, be able to get to everyone.
Yeah. And going back to the time machine thing, I mean, obviously, you've told me about some of your influences from Otis Redding or whatever. I mean, do you hear a song and it snap immediately take you right to that point?
Yeah, it does actually. I mean, that's kind of the beauty of, it's a snap. It's interesting, when you become an artist and you become a songwriter, if you will, um, you do embody that whole dynamic of like it's a snapshot in an artist's time, like specific records, specific, songs that came out. There's artists that like they don't play certain songs that they used to back in the day, and then sometimes they bring them back, and it just depends on because sometimes it can open up, a a pathway in the mind where they don't necessarily want to revisit again. And then sometimes they're like, I haven't been back to this place in so long, I want to revisit it again. So yeah, I mean, I listen to, if anything, definitely the grunge era for me. Anything that came out from like 1991 to 1996, if I hear that on the radio or, I hear those songs in a movie or something of that nature, I mean, I'm nostalgia instantly transported back to my high school days.
Yeah. And the one that came full circle to me is my introduction to you when you did Fly from the Inside. And I was like, man, I mean,
Yeah.
it literally just took me back, 23 years or so. I mean, I was like, wow, I wasn't expecting that one to be in the set list, but I was so glad you did it.
Yeah, that's Zach wanted to make sure that we played that one. There's a couple of songs off the first album that we have like we don't do it every night, but like tonight we haven't played 45 in like a long time. We're in Jacksonville, Florida tonight. And we're gonna play a couple songs off the first record. That we haven't played, but yeah, there's a couple of when I think about like the first two records, you got to go back and revisit some of those songs like Burning Bright we played the other night, which was really fun.
Yeah.
um you know the second album is an interesting one with me because over time I've learned to appreciate it more, but forever it was like not the record I was really into.
Right.
But we play Save Me some nights, and it gets a pop, and I see that, and we'll play I Dare You every once in a while. But again, man, it's the course of now 8 studio records and 37 singles. You have to kind of take a step back and be like, this is insane that we are still being allowed to do this.
Somebody told me something a long time ago. I saw George Strait at ACL Music Fest one time. They were like, if he only performs his number one songs tonight, we'll be here for 4 hours, So you're
I
you're kind of
mean,
getting to that point yourself, man.
yeah, it's interesting, there's definitely a dynamic inside of, I hope that the audience hears it, and I believe that they do, whether they've been there from the beginning or, they're just kind of finding out who we are. When we go in to make these albums, we take it really seriously. And this new record is probably, when I talk about the amount of time spent on a record, that was a year and a half all in. And we raised the bar really high on this. And I wholeheartedly believe we achieved what we achieved what we set out to do.
Indeed. Last week on the show, we had Lejean from Seven Dust on here, and I was talking to him. I was like, "What's the biggest thing going on for you right now?" And he's like, "Man, I got to fly home to see my daughter graduate. And I know I'm going to be a blubbering mess." And I said, I hope you take tissue because of as a dad who's seen his kids do it twice myself,
Yeah.
I know what it's like. You had a quick 48 hour turnaround during the tour. You had to fly to Florida to see Lyric, your son, graduate.
Yeah.
Tell me about that 48 hour process, man. Just, getting there, seeing it, and then getting right back to do a show that night,
Um,
next night.
yeah, it makes it you understand what's important, and time goes by really, really fast, man. And if anything, as I've gotten older, as when he turned 16 and got a car, the conversation shift that me and him have had from the time we were 16 to the time, he became an adult, when he turned when he turned 18 last year, is pretty profound, where being able to go to his graduation and remember this, you know, this little boy, man, that was, I held, who's now 6'2",
Right.
you know, and I'm so glad he's got height too,
Yeah.
man. I'm like, I'm so glad you're tall. But this extraordinary young man, and I don't say that because he's my son, but he really is an extraordinary individual. He has a very calm sense of the world. I think he understands that it's okay to not know what the purpose is just yet for his life and his journey. He's learned to kind of calm down and take every single moment and really live in the moment and not be so in a rush to grow up. But I think it's a coming of age for him too, where I don't think it hit him as hard at the initial, walking across the stage to get his diploma as it has in the last couple of days. He's coming out on the second leg of this tour with me. So he's going to join me in July, and he's going to do the whole second leg with us out here. Um, but if there's anything that I've felt in those last 48 hours, or in those 48 hours when he graduated, it's just an immense amount of pride, both me and his mom, that me and her were able to co-parent, very well with one another. We're just very, very proud of him.
Yeah. Back in 2016, you sold your home in California because literally you spend more time on the road than you do at home.
Yeah.
Being a nomad, if you will, I mean, is there a place that you call home, or your base, or is it just the tour bus, or do you see a place down the road that maybe will be considered quote unquote home?
It's interesting, man. Like growing up and then, you know, getting, the life that I asked for to actually be a reality. I remember my parents, in the first, few records and album cycles, my mom and my dad, they were still working. And, there were a lot of people that said to my mom, they were like, almost seems like he's running from something. My mom was like, "Nah, he's running towards everything."
I love
And
it.
I always thought that was and she came up with that, and I think it kind of floored people. And there used to be this idea of like, that I was homeless. And it's like my mom was like, he's not homeless, he's home free.
Right,
You
right.
know, I just look at um why I choose to live the way that I do. My home is with my son. So, you know, I definitely have roots in Florida because of him. And I have roots in Tennessee. I'm in Nashville a lot. I mean, the last couple of years I was I was in South Carolina with Eric,
Right.
if I was like pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
Um, and again, like when I had the house out in California in 2010 to 2016, I was doing a lot out in California. I was working on a lot of different things, obviously with the band, and it made sense. And then, it just got to a point where I was like, I kind of did what I needed to do here. I need to move on. Um, and for me, I've just never ever had an issue being on the road. And I think there's a level of, because I'm the one in the band, obviously the four of us, myself and Eric and Zach and Barry, were with each other a lot, and they all have home bases and things like that. But I'm also the one in the band that's doing a lot of the behind the scenes when regards to like the business and like what are the next steps and how are we going to negotiate certain things. A lot of times, like, just to make an impact, I will fly to where I need to go,
Right.
and if it's overseas, I'll just fly overseas. I can kind of get up by living the way that I do. I can kind of move on a dime, and it just works for me. Am I saying that I'll never have, a home base? No, I just don't know where that is currently.
Well, they say the old saying is he's living out of a suitcase, but that must be a hell of a suitcase when you're when you're living the way you are, and then of course you got to pack and prep for a tour. I mean, I've even seen some jokes about like, Brent's got this huge suitcase when he goes
Yeah.
to bed. So, what is it like prepping for a tour of this magnitude?
I downgraded my suitcases recently. It's one of the things too, like people will say it online. They're like, he wears the same thing all the time. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Because it works for me too. Now, I mean, for me, it's pretty simple. Like I'm what is considered I am a true minimalist. Like, so I don't own like stuff. I
Right.
don't have any kind of like stuff. Like
Yeah.
I don't save necessarily anything unless it's from fans that, we'll put in storage or in the wardrobe cases and things like that. But like I really don't own anything.
Mm.
Um and that again, that just works for me. Barry is probably a bit of the overpacker and, has all these very meticulous things in the way that he does certain things. So he's a little bit more of that. Like there's a lot of like, I think, creature comforts that he has to have. So he does things a specific way. Zach had a shoe case built for tour. So that tells you that
Right.
right there. But Zach kind of has his, very specific things that he likes and, how he puts things together. Eric's probably a little bit more like me, where he kind of comes out kind of minimalistic. Eric kind of wears the same thing as well, on a daily basis. He doesn't really change it up. I think more than anything, we've learned over time to not overpack.
Right.
Because a lot of times too, when you're out here, the beautiful thing about being on tour is I mean, yeah, and you got to pay for it, but you can pretty much, when you're out here, just send somebody out to get whatever you need.
Gotcha.
And you know, like tour is not the real world. It's kind of an interesting place to live in. It's very much, you know, it's a lot of hard work,
Mhm.
but you kind of learn like what you can facilitate out here and how you pack over the years. I think that the four of us have all kind of I think everybody's learned to be a little less of like pack rats, because you can
Right.
kind of grab whatever you need while you're out here.
That's right. And those of you who follow you and your reels, especially, get not a every day, but a pretty good daily regimen of you in the gym, no matter what city you're in or what hotel you may be at. And, a
I've
little bit.
slacked off. I haven't posted it here recently. Like I need to get better at it, but that's kind of the thing with me. Like I only do it if I really want to. I'm not doing it necessarily to get likes or to get like more followers. It's just if I feel compelled to do it, I'll do it.
But it is motivational. And, I was just curious, man. I mean, at what point in your career in Shinedown as lead vocalist where you said, man, I got to get in the gym. I want to do this for a long time. And
Yeah.
good God, after seeing your show, man, that's a workout in itself. But you have to be in good shape to pull off what you guys do when you do a live show each night.
I think that for me, I looked at it as I noticed at times when I was going to the gym or when I started to be a little bit more physical, when I put down the soda and I put down a lot of the sugar and the salt, I just felt better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'll be honest with people, like I tell it's interesting. Like the only vices I have left is half and half in my coffee and Splenda. And I only do 2 cups of coffee as soon as I wake up, and then I'm done. That's probably my only bad vice that I have left. Um, but I just think that I looked at it from the standpoint of I wanted to be able to take care of my voice because I can't plug that up. You know what I mean? Like your body is your temple when you're a singer and when you do this professionally. Um, as you age, you're never gonna. This is what I learned also too with supplementation and dieting and not dieting. I don't like that term. Like learning how to eat right, basically.
Right.
But also too, like allowing yourself to, you don't even have to call them cheat days. Like if you want a cheeseburger, eat a cheeseburger. Just
Right.
don't eat it every day.
Right.
You know what
Moderate.
I mean? If you want a piece of cake or, you want chocolate or whatever, go eat the chocolate or eat the piece of cake. Just don't do it every day.
That's right.
So everything in moderation was something that I had to kind of learn. But also too, uh, I just learned that more than anything, like everybody has a day with destiny. We don't have necessarily a time frame of, when it's our time. But the fact of the matter is you're not gonna stop yourself from aging. What you want to do is you kind of want to just slow it down,
Right.
you know,
That's right.
and try to live as healthy and as well as you possibly can. And the other thing I learned is that your body is really, really resilient. But then if you actually give your body what it's asking for and you treat it well, it'll treat you well.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That's right on point, man. One thing that I really enjoyed about the show the other night, and other times also, is the real quality time that you give to me and my daughter. And we were just literally sitting around in a circle in the backstage there, and
Yeah,
you were really, asking my daughter about her plans and this and that, really engaging her, and she just like
totally.
looked at me like, man, he's really a genuine person. One thing that she, really stood out. You asked her about her musicianship and doing some acting, and of course she
I
let
know.
that it was stage fright that really is the big thing that is bothering her now. And you jumped in there and said, hey, I still have it right now to this day. I mean, and I could see
Terrified.
the look on her face like, wow, if it can happen to him and he can do this, it motivated her, man. I mean, so I just wanted to thank you for that, but also, how do you actually still deal with it when you're playing now these huge arenas in front of, tens, 20,000 a night?
I think there's a level of fight or flight that happens.
Yeah.
The other 3 guys that I'm in a band with, they don't get it the way that I have it. In regards to like being nervous before performances or look, and we talked about it too. My outlook on it is that I am like seriously like I am terrified
Right.
before I walk up there. Um I would be more terrified though. I'd be more nervous if I wasn't
Yeah.
nervous.
Right.
And we talked about this, like it lets me know that I'm alive. It lets me know that I still care. It lets me know that, and not that the other 3 don't, they just never had it the way that I have it. They, obviously they want to do a great job. They're just not in their mind the way that I am, I
Right.
think.
Right.
I do have a system for it, which basically is I need to get through the first song of whatever the first song is on the set list for that tour. By the second chorus, I kind of start to calm down. I kind of lock in to get my surroundings. I can usually get the gauge of the audience within the first 2 songs. But what happens to me is that it's all about the pacing of the show.
Right.
So I have to be very meticulous about that And I had to learn over time, don't think about the next song. Don't think about song number 12 in the set either. Do it. You want to do one song at a time.
Right. Editing in
And
real time, I guess.
yeah, because like you have these choreographed sections of the show and you kind of know what you're gonna I know what I'm gonna say and how I'm gonna lead into certain things, but I'm always trying to give every city something different.
Mhm.
So it's not exactly the same because then it becomes kind of scripted.
Right. Yeah.
And you can see that if you're paying attention. And I don't ever want anything to feel contrived because people will ask me, they're like, you don't play an instrument. And I'm like, I play instruments, I just don't play them live because I kind of made a decision that I was going to be more of a front man. And sometimes, and there are male and female front men, front women that do play that are extraordinary. But for me, it was something where I needed to concentrate on being a front man and being a bit of a conductor along with being a singer, you know, and I have to pace the show a certain way and it's my job to yes, be able to sing the songs, but to make sure the people in the audience understand why that moment in time with us is so important to us and why they are so important to why we're there. They're the whole reason we're there in the first place.
Right.
So for me, I wanted to make sure that I embodied the idea of like what a front person is supposed to be.
And you do it well, my friend.
I try.
I was really happy that Eric walked in our conversation and kind of gave us a little bit of tech talk, which I loved. I was kind of geeking out and nerding out on it.
Mhm.
Talked about how much time you spent in Charleston, right side by side with him
Yeah.
earlier today. Tell me about what it is like sitting there side by side at the mixing board and just watching your friend and your bandmate go at it the way that he does so well.
Um, in full candor, I am extremely privileged to be able to work with him.
Yeah.
I see a side of him that a lot of people will never see. Um, and what I mean by that is the amount of care that he puts into, by the way, whether he's working on a Shinedown project or he's working on somebody else's project, because a lot of people don't know that he works on other things. In the last year and a half, he's definitely been focused, primarily on, this album that's getting ready to come out. But for people that don't know, Eric has been the engineer, producer, and the mixer of the last three full-length records. So he engineered, mixed, and produced Attention, Planet Zero, and now 8. And so to have a guy in your band with that kind of a skill set is an anomaly. It's not normal. Um, and to watch this individual, and sometimes people are like, well, what is he like being in the band and being a band member versus like being in the studio? Like, does he have to push everybody? Does he get, aggressive? I'm like, not at all. Like, he's actually the kindest, most supportive, and really has a focus on positive reinforcement with everybody in there. Now, what he does in there on his own, I couldn't tell you because he definitely is very, very hard on himself. And but this again is the mark of a great producer. He'll explain it to us, and the way that he looks at it is he's like, you guys aren't in here all the time because I need space to be able to find out where is the particular kind of magic and kind of the glue, as he puts it, that
Right.
I kind of need to figure out for each record. Like, what is some of the stuff that like I kind of need to be in here on my own to figure out what is going to glue it together.
Yeah.
So when you're not in there with him, doesn't mean that he's not in there with it. So it's a 24-hour, 7 days a week, month by month, year by year. It's just he has to pour every single ounce of who he is into it.
Yeah.
You
And
know? So it's a joy to watch. It can be frustrating at times. But more than anything, um, I think that when I have been able, because I'm probably in there with him the most. And it's the attention to detail and the fact that he never gets tired. Like, he has his days and he has his moments. He's human, you know, but he'll tell you too. He's like, you don't ever really finish it. You just have to complete it.
Yeah. All right.
And, you know, and then give it to the world. And then it doesn't belong to you anymore.
Right. And that's a
You
great way to
know?
do it because you could drive yourself crazy trying to tweak and tweak and tweak, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that's where the balance comes from, you know, obviously myself and Zach and Barry with Eric, but you know, I think that if people were to look at it, I think me and him are the balance in that where I'm actually the one that comes in and is like, hey, it's time to master the record. Because there's the mix, there's the recording, the writing, the production, the engineering, and then the mix of everything. But once it's mixed and you've got it like where it needs to be, you know, my favorite part of it is being able to go to him. And a lot of times it's me calling Ted Jensen, who is the mastering engineer that has mastered the majority of our albums, who, you know, he is the cherry on top, man.
Right.
You know, but the mastering is when you know it's getting ready to be it's time to complete it.
Right. Right.
And so it's a lot of times me walking in there like, this is the date we're gonna master it. and and he just has to kind of go, okay,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know.
that's a great
Because it's
relationship.
hard, man. Like when you've had something that long and it's your baby,
Right.
you know. But you know, I have to come in there and be like, we got to give it to the world, man.
Yeah, and I'm glad it's almost out there.
Yeah,
Speaking of which, Safe and Sound, it's great to have a guest co-host when their song is number one, 25th number one, by the way. Was
crazy.
it written earlier or a little bit more towards the end of the process?
Um, middle,
Middle.
kind of
Okay.
the middle of everything. But then was refined by Eric
Yeah.
towards the back half. You know, when we knew that that was going to be like. And by the way, people need to understand this. Like, there is a pretty massive committee when we pick singles.
Yeah, I bet.
Everybody has an opinion. Um, and everybody weighs in from management to people at the label, internationally, the side of the label, everything. But it always kind of comes down to the four of us and what we feel. We listen to everybody's opinions and what have you. But yeah, Safe and Sound was one of those moments where as soon as everybody heard it, they were like, that's what we need to lead with
Right.
as we announce the album, you know.
Yeah.
And it's crazy though when I think about it too, from like last year, you know, we did it in an unconventional way. I feel very lucky that we're able to do it the Shinedown way, because and me and you have talked about this over the years, like when other people will describe other artists to me, or you know, the trajectory of certain artists with different styles of music and different genres and what have you. I'm a massive fan of a lot of different styles and a lot of different artists, but what I have to be respectful about and say back to that individual is, that's all fine and good for that artist, but I'm not that artist and I'm not in that band, I'm in this one.
Yeah.
And you have to listen to your audience, you have to listen to your gut, you know. And for Safe and Sound, I think when everybody heard it, they felt, you know, from last year doing it in a very kind of unorthodox way, 365 Dance Kid Dance being the first thing that came out, you know, at the same time, then, you know, moving into Killing Fields, then surfacing with Searchlight, then coming into this year with Safe and Sound, then the announcement of what people thought was going to be a 10-song record, finding out it's going to be an 18-song album, you know, all these things that we like to just surprise people with,
Yeah.
you know. So here we are.
And listening to your audience, I mean, going back to, the connection again, I mean, was there a point maybe over the last 20 years or so where you realized that a Shinedown concert was something a little bit more deeper than just you coming out there to entertain the fans playing your songs?
Um, yeah, I think it probably, I mean, I think what, when I noticed kind of the shift of the experience and what we wanted to bring to the public and to the audiences that were coming to see us, And also just when we were on, different festivals with different artists that we never worked with before, or, you're in an audience that is a lot of different people that are there for a lot of different reasons. And it might be the first time that they're ever seeing you. I kind of noticed we started to kind of tap into our own thing right around the Attention album cycle is when I first kind of started to notice it. Um, I'm just trying to take people on a journey, all four of us are. Like the goal truly is like you may have walked into the club or the theater or the arena or the stadium or the festival, but our goal is after you see us perform that you float out.
Right. Yeah.
Like
It's a great way to look at it.
we just want you to feel good.
Yeah.
That's all we really want is like tomorrow's coming no matter what. You can't change, yesterday. But if it gives you an enlightenment, because we're enlightened by the audience every single night in every city, in every country, we always take something different from every audience. And we're very, very blessed that we have the opportunity to do what we love for a living. So we take it so seriously that we just want you to be happy when you leave.
Yeah.
So hopefully you'll tell 10 friends and you'll come back next time.
Indeed. Well, as we kind of close it out today, I've had the luxury of seeing Brent, almost from day one, man. I mean, and
Yeah.
seeing you and how your life has changed and how your music is, developed and this and that. And, so I feel like I kind of have a little bit of the behind the scenes Brent, if you will, but a lot of people just see you as the guy on social media, the guy on stage, and maybe they have this perception of you. Do you feel like there's something that people may misunderstand about you? And if so, maybe you'd like to kind of clear the water today if you're, or maybe there's nothing at all.
I mean, if anything, I don't know if I would weigh one more than the other. Like for me, I just want to be able to learn each and every day. I just want to be able to have the opportunity to meet new people and to, we're not promised tomorrow. So I just try to reflect on, I used to be, I'll be honest with you, there was a time in my life where it was like, live fast, live hard, leave a good looking corpse. I mean, to be as rock and roll brutal as I can be about it.
I saw that,
And
Brent. Believe me, I know exactly what you're
And I
talking.
was gonna say, you just said to your listeners and to me, like you've known me for for a long time. Um, you know, the other night you were sitting across from, and now you're talking to, um, one of the luckiest people on the planet. I'm not saying that I didn't work for it to be able to kind of get to the headspace that I'm in now, but I really do look at every day that I'm alive as a gift. I really do, man. And the moments I can spend with my son, what I can offer him and teach him is something that is probably without a shadow of a doubt my greatest achievement is my son. And I want to try to be the best father I can be for him. Me and him, I've told him this and he understands it more now than ever. I was like, I'm your dad, I'm your father, I can be your friend later on.
Right.
You know what I mean? But right now, I'm here to teach you and to try to give you as much knowledge as I possibly can. But at the same time, he teaches me. So, and we find a way to teach one another. Taking care of my family, especially my dad. I lost my mom at the beginning of this year, and one of the most incredible things that I found out about my dad is that he genuinely is the strongest man I know, because I don't know if there's a mechanism that kicked in with him, because I often will talk about the fact that, the people that we lose, because of 365, the reality of things is that, the people that we lose, they're not gone. They may not be physically in front of us, but they're always with us. But I tell you what, man, watching my dad, um, you know, really show me that he truly has always and will forever be my hero. I've witnessed that, with how he has dealt with the passing of his wife, my mom, and how we celebrate her every single day by not forgetting about her, by remembering who she was, and by celebrating her spirit is something that, I mean, he's just one of the most profound people that I know. So if anything, to take away from me is just that, I encourage people to um, love as hard as you can, man, and hold on to those moments and never stop learning.
Well, I say the same thing, man. My biggest accomplishment that I've ever done is being a dad, as you said so eloquently. And I hope when you see me and my daughter together, you believe that and you've seen it with your own eyes, man.
Without question, man. And you guys, like, and just so you know, too, man, I am looking forward to seeing her on the big screen or the streaming screen or wherever she wants to do it, man. Just make sure that she knows, um, all she's got to do is put her mind and her heart into it, and she'll be successful. And I love the relationship that you have with your daughter, man. It's really special to witness and to see, man. You should be very proud.
Well, I am, and I'm proud to call you a friend, and
Right back at you.
a huge fan of your music, and always will be. People ask me, it's like, I'm gonna put it on the record right here today. It's like, well, who's your favorite band? I was like, it's Shinedown. I mean, I was like, I love a lot of bands. I said, but I can't explain. It just goes so much deeper than just the music. I mean, it's just the whole 360 of Brent and you and the other guys, and to me, it's you are my favorite band, and I couldn't be more than happy to say 25 number ones and again 23 appearances with me today. So I appreciate that. I cannot wait for the fans to get this album and hear all 18 songs on 8.
Hey, listen, man. The feeling is 1,000% mutual, and on behalf of myself and Barry and Zach and Eric, we love you, man, and we appreciate you so much, and just thank you for everything.
All right. Thanks for being on the show, and best of luck, and I'll see you next time around.
All right, my friend. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. I'll see you again shortly, and thank you for all the love and support as always.
You got it, man. Take
All
care.
right. Later, brother.